All right, this is part 4 of my child was kidnapped, stolen, and disappeared across the country for 14 years. I'm going to try my best to make this the final part. So at this point, I had just been in contact with one of their family members, and they kind of had told me a lot. They kind of explained why the family was ghosting me. Apparently, the entire family is just fucked up. Like, they're all just assholes, and they're all tight-knit, and they all kind of do what the elders in the family say. And this person, the only reason they even talked to me was because they were somewhat of an outcast, because the family didn't like her husband. But she had told me that my child's mother had been heavily on drugs and had decided to fully sign away her rights. So child's mother had no more rights at this point, and that the great aunt and uncle had decided to adopt her. So my first thought process was, we found out that it was illegal because they went through very shady means to make it happen. They lied on their documents saying they had no idea where I was or who I was. And I have plenty of proof contrary to the fact. I was in contact with them as well as their whole family. They were just ignoring me, and they knew my exact address. So the thought process then was, all right, I'm going to take this to court. I'm going to win. I'm going to show this is legal, and I'm going to take my child. But then I started to think I'd be ripping my child away from her life, and she didn't deserve that. Like, who would I be to take her? She doesn't know me. She has no idea who I am. Doesn't know she has a dad. Who am I to take her away from her life? That would be fucked up. So I did a lot of wrestling back and forth with myself, and I realized she's where she's happy, and she seemed happy. And so I resigned myself to, I would probably never see my daughter or hear from her until she was 18. And I was okay with that. As long as she was happy and taken care of, I wasn't going to rip her from her life. I wasn't going to interject myself into her life and cause chaos. And then, about a year ago, out of nowhere, my mom gets an ad on Instagram. And she was like, hey, this, or a follow or whatever, she was like, hey, this account has a weird name, but then she was saying that this account only follows a few people. The account only followed my child's mother, a person that had my name, the same exact name as me, and now my mom. And so I instantly knew, like, it's my daughter. And my mom was like, yeah, you should just take your time and let her reach out, and we'll take it slow. And no. I instantly sent her like this long message, and I was like, hey, I don't know if you have any idea who I am, but I'm your dad, you know, it's me. Hey, papa. And she started texting me, dude. And here I was talking to my daughter, but it was a little like awkward for a while. I actually, to the point, I was wondering if like she was being forced to talk to me. And then her mom and I talked, and her mom really had no explanation for what had happened. But turns out she had actually not had a good life with her great aunt and uncle, to the point that she had to move back in with her aunt, or with her mom. And things were okay, and my daughter and I were talking, and that was all I ever needed. And then my daughter stopped texting me for some reason. I don't actually know why, and I still don't know why, but she stopped talking to me from like December of last year to July of this year, when she accidentally butt dialed me while she was at camp. And then she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I will call you when I get home from camp. I said, okay, cool. My daughter's going to talk to me again. Um, so we started talking, and it was super cool. And then I found out that my child was self-harming, and she was actually going to be going to the hospital for it. And next thing I'm getting told is, hey, your daughter wants to come see you. Okay, let's make it happen. She gonna come up for like one of her holiday breaks? Yeah, cool. And then her mom was like, hey, she wants to come sooner. Okay, cool. Let's make it happen. And she was like, how about the middle of next month? And I'm like, okay, cool. We'll make that happen. And then she's like, hey, she's coming next week. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, let's make it happen. Like, I'll make it happen. And then we didn't even like concrete set a day, and she kind of just sent me a screenshot of the ticket, and I was like, all right, cool. We'll make it happen. Like, we will make this happen. And I got to meet my daughter, like, and she was, okay, so I got to meet my daughter, and she was supposed to be here for only 2 weeks. And then she asked to stay for a couple more weeks. And then now she's been here for a month. And now, sometime here soon, I'm going to be getting custodial rights back to my daughter. She's going to be living with me full time. And I knew I'd get to meet my daughter one day. I didn't think it'd be this soon. It may have taken 14 years, but I get to see my kid every day. I get to see her smile. I get to see her laugh. Like, I missed so much to no fault of my own. But now there's so much more that I get to be there for. And I'm glad that, you know, things are on the up and up for her. She seems to be thriving a little bit more at my home. And she wants to go back to public school, and I'm all for that, and we're gonna try to get her in extracurriculars, whatever she wants to do. Because all I've wanted since the moment I knew I was gonna be a dad was to be a good dad and make sure that my kid was happy. And I still got a lot of years left that I can do that. I'm sorry this was so long. This is the final part. There's probably more story to tell in the future, but for now, that's all there is. So, if you stayed this long, thanks. I'm glad to get this off my chest. I'm glad to talk about it. I'm glad that I can